Do you need to cut back on your outgoings and you're looking for the best ways to save money? I've got 50 tried and tested, simple but impactful money saving tips to help with your food, your bills, and your day-to-day spending. These help me to save thousands every single year, so I can spend more of my hard-earned money on cat treats. So get yourself comfy, maybe grab a notepad and a pen, because I'm going to be sharing some very specific things that help me to save money. And please, let's keep it going after the video by sharing some of your best money saving tips in the comments. First up, keep a spending diary for an entire month. Being confronted with where your money is actually going in black and white can be really, really impactful. And this is going to be great motivation for finding places to cut back. Sometimes when you write it down, it's actually really, really obvious. When you see where your money is going, when you see maybe the impulse spends that you are making, you'll immediately think, wow, that's too much, I'm not comfortable with that amount, I need to make some changes. And try to work out where your money is going as a percentage of your income. I have a really amazing spreadsheet that does this for you. And this just really helps you visualize the places where your money is going. So if you feel, say, that your grocery spending is a little high, then you can narrow down on ways that you can tweak that. And we're going to get to grocery spending in a little while. Next, the 1-for-1 rule. Use absolutely everything up before you replace it. Try to avoid having multiple items that are effectively the same thing. This goes for food, makeup, cleaning products, clothing, shoes, anything you can think of around the house. Use all of the stuff that you have up. Get in there with a cotton bud or with a spoon or a spatula if you have to. Pay yourself first by putting money into your savings, and make sure that every single penny is working hard for you. My top priority is getting money into my pension. After that, I make sure that I use up my ISA allowance, because that is tax-free savings. And that money is for longer term goals. And then I also have an easy access savings account for things like my annual tax bill, because I'm self-employed, and also as an emergency fund. And I try and keep that in as higher rate of interest account as I can possibly find. And that often means that I have to move that money around. So there's a little bit of work involved there, but as soon as you're on top of it, and as soon as you can see the impact that compounding has on putting your money in a place where it works hard for you, that's all the motivation you need. Ban yourself from impulse purchases and try using the 14-day rule. I think that when we take a step back from any kind of impulse purchase that is tempting us, 99.99999% of the time, if we really are honest with ourselves, it is a want and not a need. Have a waiting period of at least 2 weeks before you actually buy the thing. And that leads me really nicely onto this next tip, which is to build a want-it wish list. This is a really great way of tricking your brain into getting the dopamine hit it gets from buying new stuff. Because the act of building a wish list as you see things that you want feels pretty great. It feels like you're taking action to sort of set the thing aside, but you're not actually having to check out and spend your money. Now, how you build your wish list is really down to you. Some people like to take screenshots of the thing that they've seen, and then they have a folder in their phone, designated wish list, for example, and they save them all in there, and then you can have a quick browse of that after 14 days and see if there's anything in there that, being honest with yourself, you actually really need. In order to successfully beat the habit of impulse purchases and spending beyond your means, it's really important to have a fun money budget. This money isn't impulse purchase money, it's money for stuff that you really, really want. And I think having this in your budget is a really great way of helping you zero in on the things that really matter to you. Now, how much this actually is in your budget really depends on how much you earn. For some people, it might be 20% of their budget, and for other people, it might be 10%. The really important part is that you're clear on how much you can actually afford. Look at the big ticket items. It's great to go through your budget line by line and see the odd little thing that you could cut back on, but you're going to have the most impact looking at the things where most of your money is going, and that will probably be your housing, your car or cars, and stuff like annual travel and holidays. Can you move to a smaller home? Do you actually need to have 2 cars? Can you have an amazing family holiday for less by taking a shorter period away, or by going somewhere less expensive? Take good care of your stuff. The better care you take of the things that you own, the the longer that they will last you, and also the more likely you'll be able to sell them on when you no longer need them and make a little bit of money. Sign up for mailing lists in order to unlock freebies. There are brands everywhere that are desperate for your email address and they're willing to give you something in return for it. Sometimes that's a discount, sometimes it's a free starter on your birthday, sometimes it's free postage. There's a whole range of different things that they might be willing to give you. So if there is a brand that you love, just have a look and see if there's some kind of incentive for you to sign up for their mailing list. And if you find that they're bombarding you too much with emails, then you can always unsubscribe after you've unlocked your freebie. Always scour the web for discount codes before checking out. And you can also add an extension to your browser that looks for discounts for you. It does all the heavy lifting. I have Honey installed to Chrome on my laptop. Cashback is free money. The cashback apps that I use the most on a regular basis are Airtime Rewards, Jam Donut, and Top Cashback. Top Cashback I use a lot when I am buying something online on a website. Airtime Rewards is just connected to my debit card and it just monitors any purchases that I make with brands that are partnered up with Airtime Rewards, and then I get money off my mobile phone bill. Amazing. Jam Donut is the one that I use to get money off my supermarket shopping. I buy gift cards and then I just use them at the checkout. Watch movies at the cinema for half price. There are big savings to be made on your cinema tickets as long as you take a little bit of time to look for the discounts. So first of all, most cinemas have some kind of discounted admission price on a Monday or a Tuesday. If you choose to go on one of these less popular days, then you're going to save money on the cost of your admission. Next, most of the big cinema chains have some kind of loyalty scheme. Showcase Cinemas, which is the one that we go to the most, has a loyalty scheme. It gives us 10% off tickets on certain days, and then it also allows us to collect loyalty points, which I can then use to take money off the cost of our next lot of tickets. And here's another cheap cinema tickets hack. With Meerkat Movies, you get 2-for-1 cinema tickets every Tuesday and Wednesday. But in order to unlock this deal, you have to be a customer of Compare the Market. Here's the really cool part. You don't have to take out an expensive insurance policy with Compare the Market in order to unlock this offer. Simply take out a cheap travel insurance policy for one-day trip within the UK. You can normally find a travel insurance policy for a one-day trip within the UK for like £1, maybe a little bit over £1. And if you're someone who goes to the cinema regularly, then that £1 is going to be money well spent, because you're then going to unlock the 2-for-1 cinema tickets on Tuesdays and Wednesdays for a whole year. The vast majority of people do not need a 10-step skincare routine. If you look at what actual dermatologists use on their own skin, it is super simple. We're talking 3 or 4 products. They generally cleanse and tone and moisturize, and they use some kind of SPF on their face as well for when they're going out in the morning. A simple skincare routine is what most experts recommend. So going back to one of my first tips, remember to use up what you have before you buy anything new. If someone is touting a brand new miracle cream, it'll still be a miracle once you've used up the stuff that you've already got. And on that subject, expensive skincare products may well be amazing, but there are plenty of lower cost skincare products with exactly the same ingredients that also get rave reviews. There's an amazing list compiled by real people on the Money Saving Expert forum. I'm going to link that in the description below. These are tried and tested products that are low cost, that real people are raving about. Switch to reusables wherever you can. So dishcloths instead of kitchen roll, washable period products such as menstrual cups and period underwear, and washable face wipes. Cut out bad habits. Smoking can cost you as much as £100 a week or even more. The cost of drinking excess alcohol can really add up over time. Bad habits don't just cost you money right now, they'll also cost you money over time, because ill health is inevitably going to impact on your finances. Use your local library. We are such huge fans in our house of using our library, and the great thing is that you don't even have to physically go to the library. Once you have a library account, there's, generally speaking, connected to your local library, going to be an app that you can log on and use and get access to free ebooks, audiobooks, newspapers and magazines. Literally hundreds of thousands of pounds or hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of free entertainment right there for you to take and enjoy. If you have a special occasion coming up, then why not rent your occasion wear instead of buying something new? This is a really great money saving tip if you are someone who loves their designer brands, but you don't have the budget to splurge on a £1,500 dress. Selfridges and John Lewis are just two examples of companies that will rent you really beautiful outfits for your nice special occasions. If you are someone who really loves to wear something new rather than something that you've worn before, this will work out much more cost effectively for you. For example, these Vampire's Wife dresses retail at over £1,500, but you can rent them for £150. Spend a morning cleaning up your email inbox. Unsubscribe to all the brands that bombard you with temptation every single week. Try a no spend month. Make it a game to use up only what you have, and try not to spend any money for an entire month. In this way, you're gamifying your shopping habits, you're challenging yourself. And if you're someone who is a little bit competitive, this is a really, really good way of potentially changing your money spending habits and your money mindset. Try to slow down when driving your car. The way that you drive can really use up fuel much quicker. Try accelerating less aggressively and keep your speed low. And while we're at it, wherever possible, ditch the car and walk instead. Do not buy so cheap that you end up buying the same thing repeatedly. Cheap is not best, and frugality is not about being cheap. This applies to so many things, whether it be white goods or clothing or shoes or cookware and more. Look for products made from quality materials that are built to last. For example, a non-stick pan may last 2 to 3 years and cost you about 25 quid. My Le Creuset cost 100 quid and we've had it over 10 years. And it's still going strong. Reduce your clutter. Clutter can lead to spending, either because you lose track of what you already have, so you keep buying the same thing again and again, or because you keep spending money on storage solutions to help you contain the clutter. So get rid of your unused stuff. You'll make a little bit of extra money, your house will feel tidier, and also you'll be much clearer on what you have and make sure that you're making use of it. Wash clothes at the lowest temperature possible. Generally speaking, most of the loads of laundry that we do, the clothes are not heavily muddy, they're not covered in stains. They might be a little bit stinky from PE or whatever. However, they don't need a hardcore 40, 50, 60 degree wash. Generally speaking, 30 degrees is absolutely fine. Don't forget to clean the filters of your white goods and just generally look after them. These are quite big ticket items that can cost you a lot to replace, so you want them to last as long as possible. Make sure you're keeping on top of maintenance for those key items. Air dry your laundry rather than tumble dry it. You will save a ton of money on your energy bills, and also your clothes will last longer because they're not being put through the wear and tear of going through a tumble dryer on a regular basis. And if you don't want to wait ages for your clothes to dry, I totally get that. You can try using a heated airer or a dehumidifier. These are cheaper to run, and also they have the added bonus that they tend to warm up the room where you're using them. Find a cheaper SIM-only deal for your mobile phone. If your handset is paid off and you're out of contract, then consider switching to a SIM-only deal. You can get 30 gig of data with unlimited text and calls for as little as £8 a month. Just make sure that you're shopping around to find the best deal for you. Switch off vampire devices. No, I'm not talking about Dracula's gadgets. These are devices around your home that are using up power even when you're not using them. TVs, tumble dryers, coffee machines, lamps, and computer monitors can all use up power and cost you money even when you're not using them. And while we're on the subject, try not to overfill your kettle when you're boiling it too, because that will use up more energy. Try turning your heating down 1 or 2 degrees in order to save a little bit on your energy bills. Won't make a massive difference in a single month, but this can add up over time when you make it habit. Learn how to do basic home maintenance tasks for yourself. There are lots of home maintenance and decoration skills that you can pick up online, whether that be on YouTube or seeing people sharing their tutorials on Instagram or TikTok. Plus, I've spoken on here before about my extendable window cleaning pole, which means that we don't need to pay for a window cleaner to come round and wash the windows. Build an emergency fund. This is so crucial for keeping you out of debt. Your emergency fund should be around about 3 to 6 months of your essential expenses. So say, for example, you spend £2 a month on essentials, then you need at least £6 set aside in your emergency fund. It should be in an easy access savings account that has as high a rate of interest as you can possibly find. You don't have to build that savings account overnight. Who can manage to do that? So start small and try to make the savings a habit. Even if you're just setting aside 20 quid a week, it's better than nothing. Some banking apps will also let you round up to the nearest pound when you purchase and set aside the difference. into a savings account. And this is a really nice way of saving regularly in a way that you barely even notice. We're moving on now to food and household supplies. Never ever shop hungry. You will inevitably buy more than what you needed. And while we're on the subject of poor impulse control, try to avoid shopping with your kids. They just love to add little extras into the basket as you're going around. If you can avoid taking them with you, you probably will be far more likely to stick to the grocery list. Do not ever forget to use up your leftovers. Food waste costs the average household hundreds every single year. And if you are someone who struggles to eat up their leftovers, then try the principle of cook once, eat twice. And there's actually a new TV show starting on BBC, I think, about this very thing. And this is where you have some ingredients, you cut them in half, you cook one meal with half the ingredients one day, and then the next day you cook a completely different meal with the same ingredients, maybe adding in a few slightly different bits and pieces here and there, but like the core foundation of the ingredients, that's the same. And this is just a way to use up the stuff that you have. If you're someone who gets very bored with having leftovers, then this could be a really, really great way for you to make sure that you're using up all of the food that you buy. Say you bought 500 grams of mince, you could halve that, and then you use half for spaghetti bolognese and half for a cottage pie. Swap branded medicines for supermarket own. Branded medicines are often a waste of money, and yet our eye always goes to the brand, particularly when it's a medicine, and I think particularly when it's for our kids, because we feel like we want to get the best possible medication for our family in order to look after them when they are feeling unwell, and that's completely understandable. And we remain loyal to brands because we build up sort of a feeling of trust in a brand that we recognize. However, if you look at the packaging on medications, you will see, if you compare side by side a well-known brand to a store-owned brand, that they are the same thing. They both have the same amount of the active ingredient, the actual medicine, by weight or by measurement. It's just that maybe they taste a little bit different. The box maybe looks more impressive for the branded item, but you can be spending as much as double on the branded medication. You're just getting exactly the same thing. Sometimes with these medications as well, when I've looked at them side by side, they're even made in the same factory, and yet one is half the price. It like blows my mind. Next time you're stocking up for your first aid kits, just see if you can downshift a brand. Stop buying cookbooks. You can create your very own cookbook on your phone by saving recipes from Instagram. You can either create a saved folder on your actual Instagram account. You can call it whatever you want. You could call it food and drink, or you could call it midweek meals and weekend meals. Alternatively, you could screenshot the recipes and save them, print them off that way, and create a physical book for you in your home. Buy a whole chicken rather than portioned up chicken. This is a much, much cheaper way to buy chicken. You can then portion up the whole chicken yourself and use it on different days over the course of a week, making sure obviously that you use it by the use by date, or you could roast it whole, use it for a meal one night, use it for sandwiches the next day, and use it for a leftovers meal that evening. Cut dishwasher tablets in half. Doing this means that your bag of dishwasher tablets will last you twice as long. This is something that I started doing when we went to Center Parcs over the summer. We were given, when we arrived, 3 dishwasher tablets, and I didn't think at the time that we were going to get any more over the course of the week. I really didn't want to go to their incredibly overpriced shop to buy any more, so I cut the dishwasher tablets in half, and you know what? The dishes were just as clean. Make banana bread from bananas that have gone spotty and that your kids don't fancy eating. Look out for yellow sticker discount food. This is going to be food that is very, very close to the expiration date, and so the supermarket places a yellow sticker on it with a new cut price. Just make sure that when you do this, you don't buy a ton of food that you're not going to get round to using, because then you're just wasting money, you're not saving money. So try and freeze whatever you can. Some supermarkets will have their yellow sticker food like all in one place. They'll have a whole section for it, and some of them it will be dotted all around the shop. Like if you really don't know where it is, you're struggling to see it, you can always ask a member of staff what kind of time they add yellow stickers to food, because for some of them it will be first thing in the morning when they're trying to shift stock and move it out the way, and some of them it will be at the end of the day. Do not let aesthetic get in the way of practical. I don't know if you guys have seen this new fridge-scaping trend on TikTok where people are like beautifying the inside of their fridge. They're actually putting like a vase with flowers in and pictures on the sides of the fridge. It is utterly utterly insane. It's like the next level to the fridge organization thing that has become really huge, where people have loads of little storage bins and they decant all of their food into the storage bins and then they arrange it by rainbow colors. And you look at it and you just think, you're not going to eat that like whole bucket full of green limes, like 30 limes. Like, A, how much did that cost you? And B, these limes are all just going to go off. Like, what are you going to cook with all of these limes? You've purely bought this food to make your fridge look nice. It is utterly insane. The thing is, I actually really enjoy watching this kind of content where people are stocking their fridge and organizing their fridge. Like, if you like a tidy house, then it is very, very enjoyable to watch, but it is utterly unrealistic. And what you have to remember is that the people that you're seeing online doing this, it is their job to create organization content or home and lifestyle content. Just because they're doing it and you're enjoying it, it doesn't mean you have to do it. Fridges that are organized in this way, where aesthetic comes first above practicality, are just inevitably going to cost you money. Fridge needs to be practical, not pretty. The next tip is to buy in bulk, but I have a slight caveat to that, because very occasionally the bigger thing is actually more expensive. It is not a blanket rule that every single time you buy the larger product or the larger quantity that it will be cheaper. So please always check the label, look at the price per gram. That is going to tell you whether or not you are getting a bargain. Try not to buy pre-cut food. Food that has been pre-diced, pre-grated, pre-chopped is going to cost you more. Now, what I would add is, in some cases, I totally understand that that added expense is worth it to you because it saves you time. But as long as you're doing that with the awareness that it is in some cases costing you twice as much. One way to get around this, if this is a time issue, is to try and do all-in-one meal prep on a Sunday, where you're doing some of the basics like chopping up the vegetables that you need or grating the cheese that you're going to need, in order to save you time later in the week when you're going to be busy with work and kids and school clubs and all of the stuff that comes in the week. Try and have at least one meat-free dinner per week. The cost of meat and fish is just absolutely insane right now, so we try and have a veggie meal at least once a week. Mac and cheese is a firm favourite in our house. We also really love a cauliflower cheese. Basically anything with cheese. Get your herbs and spices from small independent ethnic food stores. Alternatively, from the world foods aisle of your local big supermarket. You may have to buy larger quantities, but it works out so much cheaper, half price in some cases. Get multi-use cleaning products that you can use all over the home. Try a magic bag from the Too Good To Go app. This app aims to cut back on food waste by helping restaurants and cafes and supermarkets to sell their unwanted, unsold food onto people at a hugely cut price. The only downside of it is that the magic bag is completely random. You have no idea what you're actually going to get in the bag. If you don't mind potluck for dinner, then it's a really, really cheap way to eat. And on a similar note to Too Good To Go, there's also the Olio app. This is an app that encourages community sharing. So say you have some excess food, like a loaf of bread that you're not going to use, you put it on the Olio app and you advertise it out to people and someone comes and collects it. This is a really great way to cut back on food waste and also to get food for free. A tip for saving money on your grocery shop, which I think is hugely underrated, is to try and shop only once a week, but challenge yourself to make that food last for 10 days. I think so many of us, if we are completely honest with ourselves, have a kitchen that is just full of meals that we aren't eating, whether it be tins of beans, tins of soup. So challenging yourself to make a week's shop last for 10 days, A, like makes you think creatively, and B, just forces you to use up that food that you already have. Thanks so much for sticking with me all the way to the end. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more from me.